Hello. Hi. Do you want to say hi? You don't want to say hi? Okay, so today we're glad that you're joining us to make some sauerkraut. Why do we care about sauerkraut? Well, sauerkraut is a type of fermented food. There have been many cultures around the world making their own version of their fermented food to help them maintain a healthy gut flora. Everywhere. Yeah, we're gonna make it soon, don't worry. And that has been helping so many different people keep their gut healthy and happy for thousands of years. So this is unfortunately something that has been lost for us, the art of making fermented food, but it is so easy. I was intimidated by it at first, but once you learn how to make it, you will find that it's actually a really good way to help keep your gut healthy and also to save a ton of money instead of buying the fermented foods that cost a fortune. So one type of fermented food is sauerkraut. We also have kimchi, yogurt, and all of these dairy-based probiotics. We have kefir, also kombucha, kvass. There's just so many, but sauerkraut I find is one of the easiest one to tolerate for many people and has a really good variety of different gut-friendly bacteria. So this is a batch of sauerkraut that we made a couple of months ago, and it stays good in the fridge for a long time. And do you like sauerkraut, Aiden? Yeah. So, and it's really tasty. We like eating it with different meals. And okay, so let's get started. Let's make some together. So what do we need to make sauerkraut? What is the main ingredient? Yeah, what is that? A cabbage. Chou en français. Yeah, in French it's chou, and in English it's cabbage. So we already started processing part of our cabbage here. We use a food processor, but you don't actually need a food processor. We can do it by hand. I usually don't have one, but I borrowed my mom's one just to try and see the different texture that it would give. And Aiden is really excited to get started here. He knows to use his ear protection thing, earmuffs, right? That's how it's called. So how you need to do it is just you remove the outer leaves of the cabbage, and you can discard those, and then you cut. If you're going to use a food processor, you just chop it into like little pieces like that are going to fit into the food processor. Aiden, you mind moving here, please, so we can see better? And then I invite you to turn down the volume. We're just going to do this one with the food processor. The rest we're going to do manually, but just to show you. Yeah, you're ready? Okay, so turn down the volume. Okay, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, why doesn't it work? So you see, it is really quick for those that prefer not to use a knife. Well, you still have to use a knife, I guess, to get everything in there. But I'm going to show you how to do it manually too. So yeah, I don't always like. So that's the kind of texture you get, but there are also large pieces. Like, it's not perfect for the food processor. Maybe it depends on the one you use, but that's why I like to do it manually. It's it's not that difficult, and then I don't know, it's less noisy. And you can just chop it any size you like. Of course, it may take a little bit more time, but you see a little bit of a workout at the same time. And if you put some good music on, then it can be really relaxing. Unless you hate spending time in the kitchen, then do the food processor and whatever helps you do it as quickly as possible. Well, we're going to be done with the food processor for now. So by hand, it might be a little bit more coarse, but it works too. It doesn't have to be any specific size for it to work. Huge pieces can work too. This is a batch that I did just about an hour ago, right? We did that with the food processor. And what we did, we added 1 tablespoon of salt. we use Himalayan pink salt because it's a less processed salt. We're not done. Yeah, we're gonna put some. Please remove this because you speak a little bit loud. Okay, so we added 1 tablespoon of salt in this one, which would be half the batch, half of a big cabbage. What are you doing? And by leaving the salt in the cabbage for an hour, you see it becomes like moist. It starts to pull out the water from the cabbage, which will make the next step, the pounding step, a lot easier for you. So usually I'll just chop the rest of this cabbage as quickly as I can, and then I'll show you what the next step is. Okay, so why do we eat sauerkraut, Aiden?
What did you say?
What did I say? I said, why do we eat sauerkraut? Why do we eat sauerkraut? What is it good for? Do you know? Is it good for your tummy? Yeah. It is good for your tummy. It helps, it has a, you know, many of the probiotic supplements we buy at the store have a few strains of gut-friendly bacteria in them. But with sauerkraut, the magic comes from the fact that there's a really wide variety of strains of gut-friendly bacteria, and also the numbers are really high, and it's a food that is alive. So those in the supplements we buy at the store, some of the bacteria can actually be dead if it's not a good quality supplement or if it hasn't been stored properly. But in a live food like sauerkraut, then we don't have that problem. Bacteria are alive. You want to put the salt in? Yeah, we're ready to do that. Okay. Let me measure the salt. So as I said, I usually use 1 to 2 tablespoons of salt for a head of cabbage. Let me measure a little bit here. Okay, can put this in the blue bowl. I don't know if you can see our bowls here. No.
Isn't that a blue?
Well, it's kind of blue, no? You don't agree?
Transparent.
It's transparent. You're right.
Transparent bleu.
Blue transparent. We have a lot of blue today, I realize. A bluish bowl. You have a blue shirt. I have a blue shirt. And we have blue eyes. Yeah. Okay, and then we can mix. So this one, since we just put the salt in, we're going to leave it with the salt for about an hour. And you can, I'll try to show you the difference it makes when it has been in the water, in salt for about an hour. Like it becomes maybe hard to see on camera, but it's a lot like moisture. A lot of the water has been pulled out from the cabbage. It's a lot softer. And when, you know, the salt has just been put in, it's still pretty firm, I guess would be the word. So now we'll use the cabbage that has been in the salt mixture for an hour already. And this is a tip I learned from my friend Sarah Ramsden. She has an online course called Fearless Fermentation. If you Google Fearless Fermentation, she teaches about all types of fermented foods that are all very helpful for your gut flora. And of course I have a recipe here in my book. Another thing that's blue today. Our book is blue, isn't it? A lot of blue. There's a recipe for... Poop is not blue. For sauerkraut here. For those that are sensitive... Just a second, okay. For those that are sensitive to FODMAPs, some types of cabbage can have more FODMAPs, and some people are afraid that sauerkraut contains FODMAP. And if you're not sure what FODMAPs are, I did a Facebook Live video on Monday, so you can look it up on my Facebook page. But sauerkraut, if it's less than half a cup, definitely is low FODMAP and should be easy to tolerate and even very beneficial for most people with gut issues. But if sauerkraut doesn't work for you, another fermented food that you may want to try is fermented carrots. which is also even lower in FODMAPs, and I have a recipe for it in my book. Oh, lots of kisses this morning.
It's
You baby?
not gonna poop.
Okay, he wants me to show you poop. So there's also this chart, the poop chart that I drew that is inspired from the Bristol stool chart. And, oh, Aiden, which is the best type of poop to have? Do you want to show the camera? Which one do you have? Which one? No, which one? Yeah, not this one, no. Yeah, a type 3, type 4 is the best type of poop to have. And if you're not there, then eating sauerkraut might be a good way to bring you closer to the ideal type of poop, because what we see in the toilet tells a lot about our digestive health. Okay, so now that we've had this cabbage in the salt for about an hour, we're ready to put it in our jars. We'll start with one. And this is where we have a bit more of a workout to do. So usually, what kind of spoon did we use last time to help, so that you can help me? Can you put a bit of cabbage in the mason jar here? Okay. Okay. So we'll start putting some in our mason jar. Can be any type of jar, glass is better, of course. I suggest avoiding plastic and things like that. That's not the easiest spoon to use. Maybe it's too big, right? Let's try this. Do you want to try this instead? Okay.
Wait.
All right. Let's put a little bit more. And to help the fermentation process works better, pounding here is really helpful. I'm going to lower the camera so you can see here what I'm doing. So we use just a little bit of cabbage at a time. Sorry for the noise. And you can use a wooden spoon, or there are specific tools that are sold to do that. But let me give me a little bit of time, okay? And you, okay, give me 1 minute, okay? And you pound it. And the reason why we're doing this is to try to get more of the water out of the cabbage and to basically mix all of the bacteria that are on the surface and on the different leaves of the cabbage to help the fermentation process work smoothly. Okay, let's put a bit more. And then you keep adding a little bit more, pounding until you get all the way to the top. And doing so allows you to really compact all of the sauerkraut, so you have, you can add more. Okay, let's add a little bit of a next layer. Yes, good. And we pound. Good to make good muscles. Okay, you can keep adding more. Yeah. We won't do all of them with you because that would be quite boring to watch, but I just want to give you an idea of what the process is like. And although it may sound complicated if you've never made it, I just want you to know that it's a lot simpler than it looks. And when you have a recipe to follow or this video maybe to guide you, it's actually not that bad at all. And in terms of time, how much time does it take? If you use a food processor, it's not all that long, and then you have to leave the cabbage with the salt maybe for an hour, but that's not even mandatory. That's just to make the pounding job a little bit easier. You could do it right away. So in terms of total amount of time, I don't know, maybe half an hour of hands-on time is what you need. In terms of cost, let's talk about costs. Supplements are quite expensive. If you're buying probiotics, actually there's such a wide range of quality and different concentration. We can see the concentration of different probiotic supplements in terms of CFU, colonic forming unit. So it can range between 1 or 2 billion CFU to 450 billion CFU. There's just such a wide range, and some of the cheaper probiotics may be less than $10, some of the more expensive may be closer to $100. But with sauerkraut, the magic is that all we need to make 4 big jars of sauerkraut is 1 head of cabbage, which is maybe, I don't know, I didn't check, but between $5 and $10, I have no idea, but it's pretty inexpensive. Can you not put it on my hand, please? It's pretty inexpensive. And then 2 tablespoons of Himalayan salt, and then that's it. As I'm pounding here, it's getting like pretty juicy here. The juices from the cabbage are being released, which is really, really great.
Hi, Mama.
I love you too, baby. Kisses this morning. What else is there to tell? Yeah, so the total cost of a jar is, less than $2 to $3 for sure. And if you get it at the store, at a health food store, it would probably be at least $10 for a jar like this. So, you save a lot of money using sauerkraut, and even more money if you make it yourself instead of buying it. And then let's talk about how much you need to get the benefits in terms of gut health. For most people, if you haven't been eating fermented food before, I suggest starting with a small amount. You can even just start with the sauerkraut juice. It may not sound very appealing, but it's actually not bad at all. So maybe like a teaspoon of sauerkraut juice or a tablespoon of sauerkraut juice, and increasing slowly to allow your gut flora to adjust to the change. Yeah, you're very nice. To the different shifts that it may cause to your gut flora. And but if you've had sauerkraut before, if your digestive symptoms are not so severe, and you can start with the solid component of sauerkraut right away, then you can start with 1 to 2 tablespoons at a time and work your way up to about half a cup of sauerkraut per day, and even up to half a cup of sauerkraut at each meal. And that would be a really good dose of gut-friendly bacteria that will help you digest better, because the gut bacteria in there and the impact it has on your gut flora allows your digestive system to work more effectively. It also allows for gut healing. It also boosts your immunity. Remember that 70 to 80% of your immune system is located in the gut. And yes, for many people, they do feel a difference when they start incorporating quality probiotic supplements or fermented food like this. So I think, we can add just a little bit more to get it almost all the way to the top. Okay, that should be enough. We'll keep the rest. And it is really, really juicy here. I'll show you what it looks like. If it's a very fresh cabbage, like at the end of the summer, it will be super juicy. It will make enough juice to cover all of the cabbage here, because that's what we want. It's called anaerobic fermentation. Anaerobic meaning that it should be without contact with air or oxygen. So it should be completely under the water. So it's a very fresh cabbage that releases a lot of juices. You don't need to add any if it's completely covered. Right here, maybe hard to see, but there's a lot of juices, but not maybe all the way here, not quite to cover it completely. What? It's bigger if we go closer, right? You notice that? Yeah. So to compensate for that, and to make sure that we have a safe anaerobic fermentation that prevents mold from growing, I'm just going to add pure filtered water. I have my water filter here. I'll bring you. What do you mean? So I'll just add a little bit. I don't need to add more salt because there's enough salt. Oh, you'll do the next one, okay, baby? Okay. So just a little bit to cover the cabbage. And then it's basically done for this one. Of course, we need to repeat the process with the rest of the cabbage. But it's pretty quick once you get started. What are you doing? Eating all of the cabbage this morning. It's not very usual for you, but yeah, I guess it is. Yeah. Usually eats it when it's ready. You can see the difference in colors. This is the one that we just put in the jar, and this is after being fermented for about a month. Now to let it ferment, what do you need to do? You just leave it on the countertop.
So what?
Okay, for at least 2 weeks. It could be 3 weeks. A good thing to do is that starting around day 10 of the fermentation process is to taste daily until it gets the texture and the taste that is good for you. This one is the one we did last time. It's ready to eat. It's already fermented. So yeah, tasting every day can help you see how the fermentation process is allowing you to get to the perfect texture and taste that you like. And something very important to do is to remember to burp your jars every day. Because there will be little bubbles forming as the fermentation process starts, and those gases need to escape at some point, and if they don't, there will be an overflow or an explosion. It's never happened to me because my lids are never that airtight. But burping your jar every day when the fermentation process has started, which you will know by seeing those little bubbles appear, will be really good. Can you be a bit less loud? Okay, but I think that's all we needed here. If you have any questions about how to make your own sauerkraut or how it can benefit you, let me know in the comments below. Or check out my book, Digestive Health with Real Food. This is actually the 2nd edition. That's going to be released April 1st is this Sunday, right, for Easter. But it's already on Amazon, available for pre-order. It might ship even sooner than April 1st. So get your hands on it if you want to have the best gut health that you've ever had and feel better in your body and get rid of the bloating and all of these discomforts that are not only an annoyance but also shows that there might be something deeper that could be causing inflammation inside of your body. So I hope you have a good rest of your day. If you make some sauerkraut, post a picture and let us know how you like your sauerkraut. You say bye-bye?
Bye.
Bye everyone. Take care. Good health.